Hi friends, I just did like a whole spiel and it wasn't even recording. Anyway, I'm here today. I want to make some physical items that are rewards you can get for participating in the GoFundMe, and we'll talk a little bit about the GoFundMe. Any donation will get you mentioned in the blog and in the vlog as a contributor. Now the deadline for getting your name in the vlog is next Friday morning, which is when that video blog will get posted. And that means I have to have that edited and ready to post. So if you don't get it to me by 8 in the morning next Friday, your name will not show up on the video blog. So the next level is if you give 10 or more, you will get a coupon code. It's a 15% off at Lykania.com. Also good at my Etsy store. It's good for multiple purchases. Okay, so what we're gonna make now is a eye bead that glows in the dark. You'll get 2 of these if you donate at the $20 level, or you'll get a fancy bead. It's your choice. My goal is to get 6 of these made. Anytime I make something, like I set out to make a thing, I usually make 3 of them, and that way I can pick the best of the 3. So we're gonna make 6 of these. I've made one already. That way when I go to ship them out, I can pick the best of 2 examples to send out. I could do this as a 4-eyed bead, but a 3-eyed bead is going to let me have bigger eyes and thus have more glow powder exposed to the white. I really feel like you need that white behind the glow powder to get it to really stand out. So we're going to apply a dab of glow powder and clear to each of the white dots, and then I'm gonna re-dip my clear rod into the glow powder again and make another application. Rod back in the annealer so that it won't thermal shock on me. Melt down the clear. I'm using the turquoise clear because it allows more light to come through the bead and thus does a better job of activating the glow powder. The next step is to apply 3 dots that will become the base for the eye. I'm going to use white. White's a good backdrop here for the eye because, again, it just helps the glow powder pop better, and it's a common color for eye beads. I don't like this white. Pick this white. So it's really critical with white and clear and turquoise to have the flame balanced well, or the glass discolors easy. And if it discolors, it's not going to work as a glow bead. So just another reason to overshoot my production numbers and increase the chances of what comes out of the kiln is 2 of what I thought I was putting into the kiln. So again, I'm making 3 dots instead of 4 because I don't want these to be cluttered. I want to give each eye a chance to get enough light to activate the glow powder. I don't want to crowd them in and lose the glow effect. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make some ride beads as fancy beads. We're going to need to prep some colors. So I've got some yellow, some red, some white. Alright, so like I said, we're going to try and make some fancy beads for this GoFundMe project. So this is one of my favorite ride beads. And so to get this one made, it's a bicone. It is a Frankenstein bead, meaning that It's using two different techniques to form the decoration. In both of these, or could be using both of these techniques. In this case, we're using a reticulated and the Mexican stripes. Alright, so what we're doing is we're making red and yellow reticulated cane, or some people call it cable, some people call it snake cane. It's the stuff that looks like candy cane. So it's got a spiral stripe. And so what we're doing is we're just painting some red onto this yellow. I'm gonna use this red as a punty. And then as we pull, we're gonna twist. I think that first one came out better. The second thing we got to prep is I've got to prep a Mexican stripe. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting red stripes onto this white. And I'm going to cheat, and on the other side I'm going to put two stripes instead of one. So depending on which way I hold this cane, I can either get three stripes or four. Is that something I've done before? Nope. Just something I made up right now. And then I'm just going to pinch and pull into a ribbon. Alright, let's try that again. So another way I have done this is I make a cylinder and then I put a raised donut on the center line. And I paint my stripe decoration onto the donut. And that just gives me a little bit more guidance on the placement of the stripes. So that's a little bit more precise than the first example I did. And since it's a nice clean. And then the flat part gives me a nice location to apply the reticulation to. So it's still going to give me a quick bead, but it's going to be a little bit more precise than the first method. And then what I'm going to do is we're just going to get all that melted together. And then we're going to apply the cone shape. And I'm only going to try to make one of the other ones so we can move on to something else. Because I put a 2-hour video into the computer and try to edit it down. That takes a long time. So this is, I think, a little bit more complicated to make, but not as oppressive looking as a focal bead. But I think it's the more difficult of the two. So this one, I need to make a really big barrel. This is a good bead to make on a bigger mandrel. And then you don't have to build so much of a base bead. So it really needs to be a nice thick bead. So I usually make this bead on my 1/4 inch mandrel. Okay, so we've got a big bead. Turned it into a big barrel. Then we're going to turn the barrel into a bicone. It's going to be a real squat bicone. Okay, now we're going to take our Mexican stripe. This is what that is. Going with this one. Make sure I pick up the right thing. Okay. And we're going to, thermal shock. I'm just going to paint a line on the face of the cone. And do that on each side. All right. And this one is actually using another technique. I'm going to rake it. So we're going to get that nice and warm. Let me warm up my rake, stick it into my wax. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull that stripe down. Reform that squat bicone. Turn our temperature down a lot. And then here's the, now what we're going to do is on the circumference, the equator of this bead, we're going to put a piece of articulated cane. Now the trick here is to get it melted down enough that it sticks, but not so much that it loses its raised upness. What are we going to make now? So I'm going to make the next tier up. So the $30 tier, you have a choice of 3 items instead of just 2. So for the $30 tier is you get a choice of a glow-in-the-dark veil pen. It's a set of 2. It's going to be an eye bead. It's going to basically be the same eye bead we already made with 1 extra eye. And I make them on doll needles. So I put my needle in this vise. Make sure we got the metal nice and warm. Now the thing about veil pens that are made directly onto the pen is they're only going to have a limited life expectancy, even being annealed, because the metal and the glass have different thermal properties, different coefficients of expansion, And under the right circumstances, the metal and the glass are going to break up. So it's like sandcastles. They're pretty while they last. So same thing. Three dots of white. 1, 2, 3. I said I was getting one extra dot. Yep. I always put one here on the end. And adding that dot to the end just ensures that no matter how you place this vel pen, that there's going to be an eye that's visible. But also, it just makes sure that on the top of that needle, there's a substantial amount of glass. It is easy to misjudge and have the tip of the metal poking through the top of the glass. And that's not what we want. Same thing as I did before, 2 passes with the glow powder. And I'm going to start with this top one this time. And then each of these. I'm only going to make 2 today. I've got a decent amount of these already made, so I'm not worried about not being able to fill an order. I'm not really worried about finalizing the shape of the bead until we've got all the dots built. So, you know, you have to remember that the first reward, physical reward at the $10 level, that is that coupon code. So the intent is that there is a $10 value in that code already. So with the additional levels, you know, you're paying $10 for the bead, not 20, because you paid $10 for the coupon code, then $10 for the bead. In this case, you paid $10 for the coupon code and then $20 for the vel pens. Feels like that might be about the same size, maybe a little smaller. It'll be fine. Same thing as before. I put that in the wrong part of the flame to warm up and it thermal popped. So you can get these glow beads to glow by putting them under a LED light, putting them out in the sun, or using a UV light. In the booth, when I'm trying to show them off, I use a UV light. It gets the best results. And the UV light will get them to glow in the day. So to make the glass rings, I need a ring mandrel. So this is the one I'm going to use. I need to even up that clay a little bit. So it's just an extra thick mandrel. I'm going to put that to dry off. And then the third item you have to choose from if you go with the $30 level. So you could get the vel pens, you could get the glow ring, which I'll make when that mandrel gets ready, or you could get a vial. And I make it a glow in the dark vial. So I'm just using my 1/4 inch mandrel. And a good base on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn that base into a cylinder. And what I've done is I've made sure I've got glass on the end of this mandrel. So we've capped the whole mandrel in glass. I have been making these as eye vials. I'm gonna try something different. I've got a lot of eye vials right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this turquoise glass, and we're going to roll it in some glow powder. And we're going to take our clear And that was the clear glass that already had some glow pattern, and it's a different glow pattern. So we're using two different glow patterns in this. I don't know what's going to happen. Just building up the base of this bead. So this is going to be a, not an amphora shape, but a jug shaped vial. I call them vials because the internal shape, the actual vessel portion of the vessel, is vial shaped. So I can make the outside look all kinds of different. We can make it look like an amphora, we can make it look like a jug. But the inside on these particular type of core formed vessels are always just going to be a vial. It's just a straight tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pick up this other glow powder. So we're just going to turn this blob at the bottom into the foot. Okay. What the hell did we hit something plastic? I don't know what that was. Okay. So now I'm just playing the game of trying to keep these handles from getting too cool and popping off. I don't know how all that glow powder is going to turn out. I want to make sure this has got a glow feature, so we're going to take our clear. I'm going to pick up some glow powder. We're going to put a tiny little bit on the bobbles at the end of this handles. We're going to put a tiny little bit around the foot, and we'll put a tiny little bit around the mouth. Okay. I have no idea if this is going to turn out. This was an experiment. They're not very popular, and it's understandable because they're super fragile. It's also very difficult for me to get them consistently to turn out good. And the problem is actually the shank, the part that goes around the finger. It's got to get very uniformly attached to the slip on the mandrel. And if it doesn't, then we're screwed from the start, and I'm going to end up spending a lot of time trying to repair the piece at the wet workstation. So what I'm going to do now is find a thin spot, which is right there. We're going to put a nice big blob of my glass there. That's going to be where the decoration goes. Okay. Now, make sure we don't let the shank cool off too much or it's going to break. We're going to smash in, make a flat spot. And we're going to take our white, just another eye. Just another eye. We're going to put the big white dot there. We're going to take our clear. We should have stuck that back in the mandrel, the annealer, but we didn't. I want to get a good amount of the glow powder on there because I want this to pop. Like I said, these are super fragile. They're another sandcastle. They're pretty while they last. But they will break. Alright, so those are the rewards for the $30 level. There is no $50 reward, so the next reward level is 100. However, lots of people did donate at the $50 level, and so I sent them the $20 and the $30 reward. Now, at the $100 level, you got to have a custom piece of jewelry made. My thought was that people would want necklaces. However, the request I received for this one was, so what they wanted was some big beads to go on an existing necklace chain. And so I'm using my 1/4 inch mandrel to make these beads. They wanted blues and greens. They didn't really give me much more than that. I thought we were going to be making a whole necklace worth at $100. They don't want that. So I am not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm going to start by just making these basic beads. I'll make a set of blues. I'll make a set of green. I have somehow gone through 4 hours of work in the studio. I am not doing a full 8-hour shift today. I have some other things I'd like to take care of around the house. So it's almost time to close up this project. We are going to use our last bit of time to make an item for that $200 level. You can get a set of feast gear. And of course, we know we can discuss exactly what it is you want, but my idea was you were going to get one large plate, one bowl, one saucer plate, and I've got 3 different sizes that could be that you could pick from, and a set of 2 small vessels, the idea of them being salt and pepper shakers. So let's see if we can make one of these vessels. So this is a hybrid. It's partially core formed, partially blown glass. So the mouth of this vessel will be core formed, but the body will be blown glass. And there's 2 places where I tend to mess these up. One is applying the glass to the slip here. And it's really easy to put too much pressure and pull the slip off of the blowpipe. This tiny little iron. So all I'm doing is I'm just making a really thick layer of glass here that I'm going to marver into a barrel, and then the struggles to try and keep that from thermal shocking while I build out the bubble. So also I'm going to cheat on this bubble, so I'm not going to blow the bubble. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cage, and in this cage I'm going to trap a bubble that I can then blow. So it's really easy on this part to get a really uneven set of area of glass. And then the bubble just doesn't blow out as good. Damn it. Yep, we fucked it up. Okay. Okay, now we're going to I'm going to reinforce this mouth and go to lip. And then we need to add some material to the bottom here so we can build a foot. It's a little lopsided, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hide that a little bit. Up. My tool. Alright, get that nice and warm. I got to run across the shop. Okay. We'll heat that dot up a little bit and press in a wolf paw. Okay, so am I in front of the camera now? Okay, so anyways, please consider donating to the GoFundMe. There is so much uncertainty in the world, and one of the first things people cut is the money that they spend on crafts. If you're not following me because of my politics, okay, I don't need you to follow me. But, if we're on the same page about things like fascism is a bad direction for this country to go, yeah, please keep following me, because you're supporting not only a female artist, I'm a trans artist, I am a disabled artist, and I do an art form with this historical reproduction stuff that is not, it's a dying art form. Like, if people don't keep these skills alive, they're going to disappear. Not only do I work on this torch, I've got a charcoal burning system that I use. You can check out the video on that, and make beads using historical heating sources. And the best thing you can do to shut down those people that are selling Nazi regalia as Viking shit is to buy the Viking shit from people that stand against that. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Again, we hit that goal. That was the most important goal to hit on the GoFundMe, which was that 33% goal. We exceeded it by 3 percentage points. That paid for the biggest single expense of the trip, which was that airfare. So, anyways, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to seeing how that vial turns out. I think I got enough ramblings here to put something together this afternoon and get it posted on Sunday. Bye, guys. What am I looking at? Oh, I need to get one of those little camera things and put it above the so I can look at the camera and see myself, because I want to look at myself over here. Anyways, bye, guys. Love you. So I came back to film this as kind of, I guess, a postscript. That's the right word. Anyways. Sorry, since 2019, I have invested everything into this. At this point, the business is in survival mode. Give a heart. I don't know.